3:12 a.m. They played back my room camera to prove I had sleepwalked. The bed was empty for 9 minutes. The door never opened. Then, the infrared view caught movement under the mattress, right where my weight should have been, as if something flat and careful had spent those 9 minutes teaching itself my shape. June 3, I signed the consent forms at Halcyon Sleep Medicine because they were paying $1,200 for 3 overnight sessions, and because $1,200 fixes a lot when your rent is due on the 8th. The clinic was private, not hospital-owned. 5th floor of a medical building over a cosmetic dentist and a physical therapy office. Frosted glass, beige carpet, one fake ficus in the waiting room with dust on the lower leaves. My contact was Dana from Research Coordination. Navy scrubs, smooth voice, wedding ring turned inward. She took my blood pressure, asked about caffeine, alcohol, sleep paralysis, night terrors, family history. I told her I grind my teeth and wake up tired. All true. They fitted me with scalp leads, chest leads, leg leads, pulse ox on one finger. The room looked like a hotel built by someone who hated comfort. Clean duvet. Recliner in the corner, black dome camera above the TV. A wall speaker for staff. At 10:41 p.m., I was settled in bed while the tech, a thin guy named Ravi, checked impedance values on his tablet. He paused once and pressed his thumb harder to the screen. I asked if something was off. He said very quickly, "We sometimes get bed artifact in room 2. June 4, I did not sleep much. Anyone who says they can sleep normally with glue in their hair and wires taped to their legs is lying. I drifted. I woke. I listened to the air vent clicking every 40 seconds. Around 1:00 a.m., I heard a soft knock from inside the wall behind the headboard. 3 taps, then nothing. At breakfast, Dana handed me a paper cup of stale coffee and said they wanted me back that evening. Good REM capture, good candidate. She used the word candidate like I was applying for something. I asked about the tapping. She said old plumbing. The building was built in 2008. On my way out, I passed the monitor room. The door was ajar 2 inches. I saw Ravi and an older doctor in a gray tie looking at 4 live camera feeds. 3 showed occupied beds. Room 2 was mine. In the corner of my feed, near the floor on the far side of the bed, there was a dark oval shape. The camera couldn't hold still. Digital smear. Like the image was struggling to decide if something was there. The doctor reached over and closed the door before I could get a second look. That night, they moved me back into room 2 again. June 4. Later, Dana said the second night was a baseline plus auditory stimulus protocol. She clipped a small speaker near the headboard and told me tones might play during light sleep. Nothing invasive. Standard language. Standard smile. I watched Ravi prep the room. He changed the fitted sheet himself instead of calling housekeeping. When he pulled the mattress corner up, he looked underneath and froze for half a second. Then he lowered it carefully, not dropping it, not slapping it back into place. Careful, like there was an animal under there that would react to a sudden movement. I asked what he saw. He said, "A broken slat." There was no slat. The bed frame was steel. At 12:27 a.m., the speaker above me clicked on. A woman's voice said my name once. Not Dana. Not any voice I knew. Just my name, spoken the way someone says it when they're trying to check if you're awake without waking anyone else. I hit the call button. Ravi answered over the wall speaker after a long delay and said no stimulus had been scheduled yet. He came in, checked the equipment, and found one of the ankle leads missing. The tape was still stuck to my skin. The wire had been pulled free and was lying under the bed. June 5, they asked me to stay for a video review before discharging me. Ravi would not meet my eyes. The doctor in the gray tie introduced himself as Dr. Vale and spoke to me like we were both being reasonable adults around an unreasonable piece of evidence. At 3:12 a.m., he said, I left the bed during N2 sleep and remained out of it for 9 minutes. Possible somnambulism. He turned the monitor toward me. Infrared footage, timestamp in the corner, me in bed. Then a twitch under the blanket. The blanket slowly flattened. It did not throw back. It did not lift. It just sank, as if whatever had been filling it had been let out through a valve. The mattress dent remained for 2 seconds after the shape was gone. Then the bed was empty. The door stayed shut the whole time. No one entered. No one left. Dr. Vale rewound and zoomed into the side of the mattress. In the black gap between fabric and frame, something pale folded inward. A shoulder maybe. A hip. It was hard to tell because it was wrong in scale, too broad and too thin at the same time. While they watched the screen, I looked at Ravi's hands. He had crescent cuts across all 4 knuckles, like he'd been trying to pull something off his fingers. June 5, evening I should have left. I know that. I stayed because Dr. Vale doubled the compensation in 1 sentence and cut the check amount onto a sticky note so I could see the number. 2,400. I stayed because I wanted to know what was under that bed, and because money has a way of making bad decisions sound practical. They added a chest belt, a second camera, and a pressure mat under the sheet. Vale said they wanted better positional data. He also asked whether I had ever felt watched while trying to fall asleep. That was not on the intake form. At 2:04 a.m., I woke to a pressure on the underside of the mattress, not on top, underneath, slow, traveling pressure, moving from the foot of the bed toward my shoulders. The springs gave a little with each shift. I felt it through my back. I did not move. The pressure reached the center of the bed and stopped directly under my ribs. Then it pressed up once, hard enough to lift me a fraction of an inch. The wall speaker snapped on with a burst of static. Ravi's voice said, "Do not look down." I looked anyway. From the seam of the fitted sheet, beside my left hip, a fingertip eased out. White in the dark. Wrinkled. A clipped nail with a dot of dried blood at the cuticle. June 6, I came off the bed backward and tore half the leads off with me. Dana got there first, then Ravi, then Dr. Vale, already gloved, as if he had expected exactly that part. They did not check under the bed. That is what I keep coming back to. They checked me for scratches. They checked the leads. They checked the pressure mat feed. Vale asked me to describe the finger in as much detail as possible. He wrote down subungual blood and underlined it. I said I was done. He said they could not release me yet because they needed one more observation period. He used the phrase protocol deviation and pointed out that the consent forms covered overnight retention if a subject became disoriented. He had the forms on a clipboard before I asked to see them. My own signature looked thin and stupid on the last page. They moved me to a smaller room at the end of the hall. No TV, just a bed, a sink, and a camera in the corner. The mattress sat directly on a molded platform with no gap beneath it. At 4:18 a.m., I woke because someone was breathing under the platform. Not trapped breathing, not panicked, patient breathing, resting, waiting for me to fall back asleep. June 6. Later, I did not use the call button. I pulled the pulse ox off, climbed over the bed, and opened the door myself. The hall lights were dimmed for night mode, half the fixtures off, carpet runner, framed landscape prints, everything expensive and dead. Ravi was at the nurse station with his head down on folded arms. At first, I thought he had fallen asleep. Then I got closer and saw one eye open, looking sideways at me. He lifted one finger to his lips without moving the rest of his face. There was a sound coming from room 2, wet cloth being dragged over vinyl. The door to room 2 stood open 6 inches. I could see the foot of the bed, and the pressure mat monitor still lit green. On the floor beside the bed was a pile of used electrode discs, adhesive side up, each one stuck with short black hairs. Human hair, different lengths. Ravi whispered, barely moving his mouth, "It learns from contact." Then something inside room 2 copied him in my voice. "It learns from contact." Same volume, same mouth dry crack on the T. Ravi made one small sound through his nose. The sound a person makes when they know they are already dead, but don't want to turn around and check. Dr. Vale stepped out of the dark room behind the voice and shut the door with both hands. June 7. I found this notebook in my bag after they brought my things back. They forgot to check the side pocket, or they wanted me to have something to write in. I am on the floor in the observation room using the baseboard outlet light to see. After Vale closed room 2, he told me the clinic had been built over a long-term care unit from the old owner, and during demolition, they found a sealed recovery bay that was not on the plans. He said that, like it explained anything, he said some spaces hold behavior, repetition without personhood. He said sleep gives the body away in pieces, and some things only need pieces. Ravi started screaming from the hall before he finished. It did not sound sudden. It sounded ongoing, like I had opened a door on a scream already in progress. Something hit my room door once. Then again, lower this time, where a shoulder would be if it had one. The cheap wood bowed inward around the latch. There are 2 shadows under the gap now. One is mine, am sitting against the door. The other one keeps putting its fingers through. It has my hospital bracelet on. Subscribe if you want to know what it does when I stop riding.